Hello and thank you for pressing play on this tutorial. Today we're going to be talking about managing sales and what it means to manage sales from a basic perspective, a functional perspective. This is really a crash course. Expect that there's a lot of things you need to do after watching this, but I want to give you a sense of what the basics are in this type of roles. So a little bit about me. I've filled sales roles in any shape, way, or form, if you will, since basically 95, since I left university. And I've been either team lead or sales lead or VP sales throughout my career. And I've learned the hard way. I've done tons of mistakes, and it's actually a good thing to learn from your mistakes. And also, I like to keep things on the non-boring side. So I'm going to try to keep this topic, which is somewhat dry, into something a bit more interesting and palpable for the next few minutes. So, first and foremost, why? Why the heck do you want to do this? Why sales? Why sales management? So, first and foremost, sales is the lifeblood of your organization, where sales will fund your payroll, fund your operations, fund everything basically, and it's important to do it right. And the more chances that you want to put on your side to doing it right out of the gates, the more successful typically organizations are. So you also want to meet objectives, because if you're in a tech startup, you have investors, and those investors want to see a return on their investment. Your management team, if you're not part of the management team, or your co-owners, co-business managers, and also just stick to your business plan wouldn't hurt either. You want to also bring the ability through sales to bring bonuses to employees should you desire to. And this is where you can fund those fun activities and go beyond just the sales team. And you want to run a tight ship. Let's call a spade a spade. This is a business, not a hobby. So you want to make sure that everything is under control and you're delivering as much as you can. So let's plan the next steps for your business, and let's start talking about sales management. First and foremost, who do you not want as your sales manager? Because I'll talk to customers. You know what? That's fantastic. Or the typical mistake organizations make is take their most illustrious salesperson into a sales leader, and doesn't really work that way most of the time. You will find exceptions out there, but let's just assume that the rule of thumb is that your superstars are natural born salespeople, and natural born salespeople are not really that good in those mentoring leadership kind of roles, because for them it's so easy. Three examples from other parts of the world that I like to use is, first and foremost, pro sports, because natural born athletes are really not that great at explaining how they are great. They just do it. Look at Wayne Gretzky. There's not a record that this person could not break, but as a hockey coach in the NHL, not that great, just because it's that relatability that's missing. My wife is an avid yoga practitioner, and she gave me a quote recently. Blessed are those who do not stretch well, because they have the most gains to do. If you have a human spaghetti teaching yoga that's been doing this naturally because their joints are really supple, they will not necessarily understand the growth pains that you as a beginner will, be going through. And lastly, if you want to go out and take some music lessons, try to find a teacher that had to learn the hard way and practice and do those scales and those hours, because they understand what it is to put in effort to get good at something. So that's the classical thing I want to put in front of you. But most importantly, let's talk about, who do you want? So let's look at personality traits. First and foremost, you want somebody who has some leadership, some team player, somebody that will resemble people, somebody who's helpful. If I want to dive back into that pro sports analogy, and I apologize for the non-sports fans, but there's always that, superstar, and you have that person on the bench. Like, I'm going to use hockey as an example. I'm Canadian. So you have this player on the bench that's always coaching his peers between shifts. that's your future hockey coach. So you want to get that person that's trying to make the rest of the team better. Also, in the context that we already have a sales culture in place, you want to look at the person that at the end of the month or quarter helps the other salespeople bring in their deals when they're done with their deals. That's a great way to identify a sales leader. Somebody who's caring, somebody who understands, somebody who has emotional intelligence, somebody who can read people without going through a full-blown quiz to understand what's happening, because we're all human, and sales leadership is dealing with humans. So somebody who can forecast, somebody who understands math, numbers, what it means to actually hit numbers, what it means also to plan numbers. Active listening skills. This is the quintessential thing about sales. The better the salesperson, the better listener they typically are, goes with sales management, because you need to listen to your team to make educated decisions. You need somebody that's adaptable, learner, trainer, trainee. I like to think of sales at the end of the quarter as going in the left lane in your car, 30 over the speed limit, while on fire, and 4 flat tires. So somebody that can adapt and deal with stuff is really important. That being said, beyond personalities, there's styles. This is management styles beyond sales, but it's important that we understand what kind of personalities and styles we can play with in selecting a sales leader. And I love the little caricature cartoon, because right there you'll understand, boss versus leader. It's a classic, and it says a lot about who you're going to be talking to and who you're going to be putting in. And, I'm not saying that everything is bad if you're a boss, but on the flip side of the coin, it needs to match culture. The mentor coach style is a classic one, as aforementioned. Dived into that one already. But the strategic thinker, you have some individuals that are playing chess in their heads all the time. These are interesting individuals to have in a sales leadership role, because they're planning not only for this week, this quarter, or this season kind of revenue, but a few steps down the road, verticals, opportunities, seasonality, etc. They're thinkers, they're planners. Democratic managers are going with consensus, and it's not always the right way to go, but in many cases, just listening to the team and getting the gauge of the room and understanding where everybody wants to go is a good thing. Transactional individuals are those who are number-oriented, quota-oriented, like, have you made your number of sales calls today, and those kind of activities. They focus more on that kind of mindset. Authoritarians, well, that's the boss right there, right? It can work in some environments. On the flip side of the coin, you have the laissez-faire, and the laissez-faire sales leader is that person that just like, here's rope, go out and get what you need, right? Very low touch, high trust individuals that will trust their teams and just go out and get business. That's everybody's favorite, the Teflon. Nothing sticks to them. It's never their fault, and they're non-committal by nature, and personally not my favorite. You have the bureaucrats, which stick with procedures, rules, and everything that can work in some environments. And you have the ever popular micromanagers, which as and when I'm in a sales role, they basically drive me nuts, because I don't need to be managed. I need to be supported. My management style, and I've been colorful in this slide, is more strategic, mentor, and laissez-faire type approach. But everybody's different, and you know what? There's no good or bad answer. That being said, you got to manage that team once you have that team in place. You have to understand who's your team, individual strengths, weaknesses, understand also what the territories are, what the verticals are, who's working what are the opportunities, what are the challenges for each and every one of those members in your team, so you can get the most efficient results out of everybody in your team to beat those numbers. You have to understand your team's personality as well. Put a team name, why the heck not? If you have multiple regions, put multiple team names, make it fun. And if you watched my video about hiring salespeople, I am a reserved fan of psychometric testing. Um, I think it's really useful as a manager to have this data so you can manage individuals and know what kind of individuals they are. But if you put this whole thing together, like if you put the Gallup Strengths Finder profiles and put them all one by one, side by side, you get an interesting visual of who's good at what, and that will help you make decisions and manage your team. Now, quotas, the legendary quotas. So first and foremost, the sales leader's quota is typically the company objective. What else is there at the end of the day, right? I'm not saying that we're not going to go into the company objectives, but that's the ground zero. That's the basic starting point. And then you have to look at pipelines, history, seasonality, depending on your business. That's going to affect how you calculate quotas. What market opportunities are there? What challenges are there? Did your industry get heavily regulated for XYZ reason because something happened, or on the flip side of the coin, something else happened and it spun a whole bunch of opportunities? Look at the status of the crypto finance tech fin right now, and you'll see what I mean by market opportunities and challenges. You'll find both in that space right now at the same time. Now, when you build quotas, I like to do something I like to pleasantly call padding downwards. If, when setting your team's quota, everybody gets a fraction that represents 100% of your individual quota as a sales leader, and somebody misses by 1%, you miss by the proportional fraction of the miss out. And we all know somebody in the team is not going to make quota. It's just life. It's okay. But as a sales leader, you want to make sure that you pad everybody's quota to make sure and compensate that the company objective and your objectives are met. So don't be dastardly greedy here. Understand your history and work with that. Quotas can be set quarterly or monthly. It depends on your business model. Monthly, common scenario would be car dealership. Quarterly would be IT tech giant like Cisco or Google, because that's how they're measured on the stock market. So depends of where you sit. And also, like I mentioned, opportunities, challenges. You have a whole bunch of things that can affect how quotas are set. I had a partner go bankrupt on me once, a national retailer, when I was doing consumer software, and that was a challenge. So I had to find new business as a rep, but I got quota relief for that. But what happens to the company's objectives? And you see what I'm getting at. So you have to play this math game best you can, and just handle the variables as best you can, and be fair. When setting quotas, the one thing that I like to tell people is just be fair, be honest, and don't be greedy. Now, quota types. How do you define quotas? How do we quantify quotas? First and foremost, there's volume-based. Number of transactions. That's the classic one. Like if you sell cell phone lines, you never get the upfront revenue because nobody collects 2 years worth of revenue per contract up front. So that's volume-based kind of transactions, and you pay or do quota relief, I should say, against planned income on those kind of situations. Revenue-based, very classic as well. Profit-based or cost-based. Like profit-based, if you work in a high-margin world like software, that's a way to go at it, versus cost-based. When you sell hard goods, you need to find that waterline where you're going to go above the waterline and find that profitability for each and one of your reps. Activity-based quotas are more used in scenarios where the salespeople are not selling for dollars, but by activity, like number of calls placed, number of follow-ups done. Cold callers, dialers, appointment setters will work more in this context. You can mix and match. Nothing wrong with that. And one of my favorites when applied properly is MBOs. An MBO quota item is you're going to compensate a salesperson based on non-revenue driven activities. So you can have like 90% of your quota being regular, let's say profit based revenue, and you're going to set up some MBOs to generate some extra income and also drive company objectives. One thing that I've loved to do in comp plans was to put MBOs. Everybody in my sales team every quarter needs to find a case study, because I firmly believe that your customers are your best sales reps if leveraged properly. And once your salesperson is done with the deal, they're done with the deal, right? So incent them, go get them. So it's always fun. Find new partners, number of new customers, sign a new alliance, etc. Be creative, but try something at least. Compensation. Now we've talked about quota and stuff like that. Now we got to pay people. Now, compensation, that is just always the same core mindset for salespeople and leaders. And I'm not going to spend 20 minutes on compensation, but just want to give you a flavor on the basic math, which is right there. Base salary, commissions, MBOs, total comp. There you go. No rocket science involved. Now, personally, having worked a bunch of places that used accelerators, I found this great because I could make more money as a salesperson. Or as a sales leader, if my team beats the numbers by XYZ, I make more money. And you always got to bear in mind that salespeople at the core are coin operated. They like that. They're very motivated by income. So if you put accelerators in place, just calculate them properly, and make sure that you put gates. So like at 115.01%, everything above that mark, you get paid 1.25, and at 150.01, you get paid 1.5. So go close business, have record quarters, have record months. That's a way to go get them. Now, capping commission is the polar opposite of this, and I'm personally not a fan. I've been capped once in my life, and we were in the post.com bubble, and making quota was really hard, and most people ended up like 94, 98, 89, that kind of context. And once we started getting out of the bubble, I blew over 200% in one quarter. And my commission check, which should have been the fattest thing I've seen in my life, was vested in the 3 following quarters after the cap. That caused me to rethink my role at the organization. I think it's bad. I think it leads to sandbagging as well, which means your reps are going to hold their deals for next cycle instead of closing them now, which deprives your bank account of having the income now. And it's just not very positive. You want to get people to overachieve, not to find flow, if you will. At least that's my take on compensation culture. Last but not least, have a clause in your employment contract that states that you can revisit quota and comp plans on a quarterly, semi-annual, or annual basis, because exactly what I said above. So make sure you protect yourself, you protect the rep. It has to be fair and reasonable. Now, once you've got all this stuff together and your salespeople are going out and you have to manage that sales team, regular activities will include sales meetings, and everybody loves those, right? Well, most cases no, but you can actually tweak them to make them work. So what I've found in my career to work in multiple environments is that keep it short. Keep it short, because you're taking time away from people making sales calls or other business related activities. And when you can, you praise in public. It's always fun to shine some positive light on your team. It's that soft love that, keeps motivation going. Provide numbers. It's always good. Put thermometers or something. Just do something. Salespeople are competitive by nature. So if you see that, sales rep number 3 is beating me this quarter. I'm on. It's on. You want to create those kind of friendly challenges if it's appropriate and you can. One of my favorite things in a sales meeting is to have every single salesperson show up with a win and a challenge, because you don't want to go through everybody's sales books. It's really boring and it's long. So just those two. Have a win so you share success with your peers and your team, and they can leverage that knowledge, experience, how you've made that deal happen. On the flip side of the coin, nobody's perfect. And I love to go out and go, I'll go first and I'm going to challenge with XYZ. Can anybody help me? And you create that collaborative structure in your team and some trust and some relationships. And everybody wins. Last but not least, I'm a big believer in training. So you want to make sure that your products, services are up to date from a knowledge transfer perspective. If you've got new tools, new this, new that, announcements, make sure that you always bring some company updates or some product knowledge to the team. It's always good to have that. Now, on a weekly basis, the classic model is to have a one-on-one, and I think it's important to have that one-on-one so the sales leader stays in the know of what's happening and can help the salesperson in a more granular fashion. Again, if the meeting takes 20 minutes and you've gone through everything, go. Perfect. Free some time, get productive. Scold in private, because nobody likes to be yelled at, first and foremost, and B, never yelled at in public. And by yelled at, I'm being colorful here. Don't yell at people. Focus on how to help. It's always moving the ball forward in a positive way. If you always work in those kind of contexts, your retention and loyalty of individuals is going to be far more positively impacted than being negative all the time. It's obvious human behavior management, but sometimes it needs to be said. And you want to review deals, the pipeline percentage, where you're going, where you're at with your MBOs, and do a little one-on-one coaching whenever appropriate. So I've noticed that your percentage of success in this situation is not as where it should be. So are you okay talking about this? And I want to help you, and I have a plan. So the magic words here, I have a plan. So let's see how I can help you get to the next step and raise the bar and help you be successful. Now, reviews are like sales meeting, but not as frequent. So based on your quota cycle, you want to do at least a quarterly meeting, and with an annual sales meeting with the whole team where you deploy your ambitions and releases and evil master plans for global domination for the year. Now, you want to, again, keep it reasonably short, but you want to take your time. Just make sure to cover all the bases. Again, prizes, praise, awards, medals, Employee of the Month plaque if your company culture supports that, and make it funny, make it attainable, desirable. Provide quota percentages, especially from a team perspective, how much we did as a team, because how much we did as a team against quota will impact the non-salespeople in the organization and the non-salespeople in your team, which I'm going to touch a bit on a little bit later. And you want to set up quotas, MBOs for the team. We need to be doing X, Y, and Z. Our direction is going to be this. And on the individual, it's like what I did on the weekly, really. But you do the setup for individual stuff. And if somebody needs to have a firm talk, and you do it there. I hate doing those. But sometimes tough love actually brings good results. Keep it positive. Focus the help. And review and set up, and what worked, what didn't. We're all adults. Let's try to plan to make this thing work for everybody and find everybody results. So, last part on compensation I like to bring together, and also reviews, is a President's Club. And this is quote mark because you have the Achievers Club, President's Club, the Winner's Circle, whatever you want to call it. Depending on your company size, is it a club or a single person? Like if you have 4 salespeople, you can, not everybody is the winner, right? But you want to look at putting this annual target type award, and you pay for the cost of this through quota and overachievement. You factor those things in. And yes, you want to pull a Michael Scott little trophy here from the office. Bring them an award. And that's what Michael Scott has in his hands right now. I've got a bunch of little statues in my closet here. We just moved, so didn't do my office yet. And people take pride in those things and make the reward, the win significant. The first time I won something that was in the Achievers Club, we needed to have 115% over quota for the whole year. I went, took the wife to Hawaii, and that was really cool. So you want to also give your winners a little bit of cash spending money and paid time off, and just run with it and make it an achievable goal and or an overachievable goal. Keep people motivated and have fun with this. Now, if you have a President's Club with many people going there, well, the owners and senior management should be going to, because this is a strategic moment to bond with their team. Yeah, but it's a whole lot of fun, and it's team building at the same time. Now, the dark side of all I've spoken of is terminations, and I hate this with a passion. I love to filter problems at the hiring process so I don't have to deal with them later, but things will fall through the cracks, and keep it objective. It's not personal. It's the numbers. It's not working out. It's you need to be here. You're here consistently 3 quarters in a row. I'm sorry, man. Work with HR. Have HR there to back you. Don't go like a lone wolf. Do it live, and don't text people, please. It's not like 2 14-year-olds stop dating with text messages. This is serious. This is people's career, their livelihood. And when you terminate now, because you want to take over their sales book now and not give them a 2-week period to do things. Just take it over now. We love you, man, but it's over. Sales admins, that's the person that's not quoted in the sales team. That is, if you can afford one, this is the glue that will keep everything together. And you have 2 flavors. Like, you've got the sales admin, that's like the person that runs the whole thing, that typically will work more in relationship to the sales leader, but will be handling the bulk of the admin work for the sales team, because salespeople are usually people. They're not really that good at the counterpart of being people. Bureaucracy is a challenge for them, so that sales admin can alleviate a lot of frustration, work, undesirable stuff, and keep your salespeople selling versus entering deals, running reports, and stuff like that. Now, in other scenarios, a type of sales admin can be quoted as well as an inside sales counterpart. And when you have the blessed situation of having a great inside salesperson, you can work miracles. I was so lucky in my career to have both types of sales admins, and they were great, and they made me so much better. And I'm ever thankful to these individuals. They've done great jobs, and I never would have attained the level of success I've hit without having the people to back me. And always, when you work with your sales admins, thank them once in a while. It's good practice. They're your in-house CRM wizards, generally. They're the ones who understands the system. If you have an inside-outside sales type relationship, you want your salesperson, sales exec, account exec to be in front of customers. And your person in the office or wherever, because this is 2022, handling the back end. They are great to handle the deals, the quotas, the invoicing, the quotes, everything, reports for you, reports for management, etc. And they're the backup person for your customers. Like, if you go on vacation, you can call XYZ and that person will be able to help you. Or just you're stuck in an airplane, you can't return email or calls or whatever, that person's there for you. Last but not least, it's the sales leader's report guru. So you can ask that person, when that person masters the tool set, can you get me this data, please? And go. And you can make decisions as a sales leader, quicker, better, faster. So sales admins, love them. That being said, tools of the trade, because we've talked about like all the main building blocks of managing sales from a functional perspective, from an operational perspective, HR, pay, comp, and all that stuff. But how do you get things going in the real world? So a few tools I like to bring to the table. The first one is, yes, this is a shameless plug slide. I have a video on hiring salespeople that I recommend that you haven't watched it or done this. Go take a look at it. It's quick, it's painless. I swear you'll like it. Telephony, because telephony is important, and I'm a geek with a necktie, so I like to understand the tools I work with. So I basically put my knowledge that I've accumulated over the years, which is not the greatest or the biggest, but it's functional, and it'll give you options on how to get your team to communicate. And let's go beyond the mobile. Selecting a CRM. If you've never had to go through selecting a CRM, there's a guide. I guide you through it. There's templates. This can help. Also, you need software when you're a salesperson or a sales manager or just business operator. I go through a whole bunch of categories in this video that will help you keep everything under the budget mark. And working from home, because this is the new reality. We are all going to work part full-time from work. I was working from home way before the pandemic, just because of the nature of my roles. I've been a few times the only salesperson in Canada type individual, so I had to learn a whole bunch of things, and I share them with you here. And I'll be adding more as time flies. Don't be shy, go there. You can also subscribe to the YouTube channel for Rocket Fuel if you don't want to miss anything, and you don't. Now, that being said, that was my delivery of a quick crash course into sales management. It's not perfect, it's a starting point. There's some reading, research, knowledge, experience that you need to acquire, but you'll get there. It's done by humans for humans. It's doable. Thanks for watching, and if you need anything, just don't hesitate. Drop me a line. Have a great day.